This video presents an examination of the Finance Committee, a body that has garnered criticism regarding its operations and decision-making processes. A central concern is the committee's apparent fixation on numerical ratios as a guiding principle. This debate in Council is over the minutes and recommendations of the committee, but below the surface it is about staff cuts. According to communications with Stuart Coughlin, a member of the Finance Committee, there seems to be a clear objective aimed at significant staff reductions, with estimates suggesting cuts could range from 200 to as many as 500 positions. This was based on discussions and emails I had with him late last year. Coughlin's comments raise questions about the foundation on which these targets are based, particularly given the limited insight into the Council's operations and the inapplicability of the corporate model of ratios, which is typically utilised by banks to drive shareholder value and is not a fiduciary obligation for local councils. You will hear the staff member Ms. Buckman give this same explanation. We may not be the same as other councils, the entertainment centre, the waste transfer locations, libraries, etc. The ensuing debate, as displayed in the video, underscores the committee's intention to use staffing ratios to facilitate job cuts. This aligns with Coughlin's statements, notably Jason Cox, whose background appears to be financial, and Councillor Kemp expressed strong reactions to assertions that the Finance Committee intends to eliminate 200 jobs, indicating a lack of consensus between Ms. White and the acting CEO on this matter. Councillor Kemp made allegations against this site making false claims. They, as you will see, are not false. In fact, the debate confirms it. Maybe she does not understand what the ratio debate is about, which is most likely given her skill levels as shown. Viewers will observe that the discussion reveals a concerted effort by Ms. White and the acting CEO to mitigate the narrative surrounding potential staff reductions, asserting that the total cuts may not reach the 200 mark. This situation points to a broader issue of transparency and communication, as it appears there is a reluctance to openly acknowledge the Finance Committee's agenda regarding substantial layoffs, which is indicative of a larger disconnect between the committee's objectives and the administration's public stance. This situation explains why Ms. White was so angry with Councillor Tribe as she spoke the truth about staff cuts while a debate was on about a pay rise for councillors.
5182, report of the Financial Review Panel 1 May and 20th May 25.
I commend the report to you, and I certainly hope it will be unanimous acceptance of it. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Any further speakers? If not, I'll put the recommendation. Anybody wishing to vote against? You're going to vote. All right. So voting against is Councillor Norris and Councillor Christolidis. Is there any further voting against? The balance vote in favour. It's a Councillor Boyd, for or against? Against. So Councillor. So we have 11 for, 2 against. So those against are Councillor Norris and Councillor Christolidis. If we can record that balance vote in favour, we'll then go to report CL 25183, Councillor Proudfoot. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cox.
Thanks. I move the budget review, Madam Chair.
So do I have a seconder, Councillor Cox? Do you wish to speak to that, Councillor Proudfoot?
No, not this. I alluded to it in the previous motion.
Right. So Councillor Tribe.
I'll seek to move an amendment that part 2 of that be received for information and the rest be accepted.
So, Councillor Proudfoot, are you happy to receive part 2 for information?
Employee cost per capita by the end of 20. I'll take advice from the CEO on that, Madam Chair.
Through you, Madam Mayor, councillors, ultimately this is a set of recommendations that are being made to you by a committee that's been set up and endorsed by council. You're well within your rights to adopt the recommendations of said committee as a whole, with any amendments.
I'll stick with the Financial Review Panel's recommendation, Madam Chair.
All right, so you're formally moving it, Councillor Tribe, as an amendment. Councillor Christolidis, you seconding that. So now we'll discuss the amendment. So Councillor Johnson, are you speaking for the amendment?
I have a question.
Yep, fine.
Through you, Madam Mayor, for the staff, do any of these additional KPIs or KPMs add additional burden on staff above what those are already required?
The employee cost one will be the one that requires more work. The concern that we raised around that one is we're setting ourselves a target based on actuals, and we don't know the actuals of our comparable councils until after the fact, which makes it very hard to measure. I have gone and had a look at other councils' draft delivery program operational plans to have a look at what they've got in their budgets at the moment. Again, everyone's not preparing their information like for like, so that's going to make it difficult. My concern with that one, more from a calculation of the ability to meet that ratio, is more around getting appropriate information to determine are we actually meeting the benchmark. If we can get access to that information in an easy format, it's not hard to calculate and wouldn't be burdensome to calculate.
Thank you.
Councillor Christolitis.
Thank you, and really happy to be seconding that amendment. I would have moved it to actually strike that completely, because even having then sat in that committee meeting, sat there and heard the discussion around it, and as Director of, I've forgotten your title. Anyway, the lovely Madam Director over there has just said, got out of that one, has alluded to, we're creating a metric based on something we don't know, and potentially can't know for a long, long time. So creating that metric compared to other councils that don't report in the same manner, don't actually know what their future totals are going to be, and then telling us we have to have a maximum of 20% higher than the average of other Group 5 councils is unbelievably pointless. You can't measure, you can't create a KPI based on a metric that doesn't exist. So the amendment, to take as information, yep, it's good advice, but there's no way we can make the staff do something that's actually impossible. Thank you.
Councillor Tribe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I largely agree. The committee has been really valuable. We've received some excellent advice. They've got basically some expert consultants who are, unpaid and volunteering copious amounts of time to give us advice, and it has been well received. It will be no surprise to anyone that I don't support the inclusion of item 2, because I've expressed very serious concerns about this, and putting out a number which ties us to large-scale job cuts from the top down, imposing a number, and people only have to look at those numbers to work out what that would be, that we're proposing here on the floor of council to shed those number of jobs right here and now by adopting this, that would create angst across the organisation. And is it against the process that we've already adopted, which is our financial sustainability plan and our business reviews that we're systematically working through to find savings and to do this properly and to air it properly with staff in the way that we're supposed to through law, that it's unnecessary. We can take this on notice and note that there is a suggestion that we are higher than Group 5 councils in terms of our employee cost, and that is something that we can look at through our business financial sustainability measures. But to stand here now and impose a cut would be highly problematic when we need to do the work from the bottom up first, the strategic work that supports this. And it also goes against, as we've heard, what ARIC have also raised concerns about, and adding additional KPIs when we aren't already meeting those that we are supposed to be complying with from the OLG. It's adding in an additional metric for us to measure against, to comply with at this time. So by all means, receive this for information from our expert unpaid consultants, but to adopt it here and now would be problematic.
Councillor Kemp.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Would it be possible to ask for a report to come back to Council at the extraordinary meeting on the 19th of June? How much current staff per department and costs? Would that be helpful?
Through you, Mayor. We can certainly redistribute that information, councillors. It was part of an original budget workshop and information. The numbers that were distributed to councillors were a breakdown of FTE per department and the associated revenue and expenditure components for each respective department. So I'm more than happy to redistribute that in anticipation of the extraordinary meeting.
So, Councillor Wilkins. Oh, sorry, Councillor Kemp, have you finished?
Sorry, just a quick question. How many staff per department? Have we got that?
I thought you were asking me if I knew that off the top of my head.
No, gee, I wouldn't do that to you.
Yes, we do have that. It is on the councillor portal, and we will redistribute the link to that for you.
Okay, please, thank you.
Councillor Wilkins.
Yes, Madam Mayor. I'm not supporting this amendment. I think the description of large-scale job cuts is inflammatory and quite contrary to what the Finance Committee is proposing here. In fact, it's rather modest. The per capita currently sits at about 32% above other councils of the similar nature, the Group 5 councils. So for it to get to 20% is a very modest, conservative contribution in their eyes, and one that could be quantified with some work. Of course, we respect everyone's view on this matter, but the finance panel, as emphasised by Councillor Proudfoot, is there working feverishly for nothing to try and go hand in hand with the associated people at the council and the finance department and the director, and trying to come to a solution which sees the council in a much better financial position. So I'll be going against the amendment because I think it's inflammatory to say that there'll be large-scale job cuts, which there won't be.
So, Councillor Tribe.
Question through you, Madam Mayor. Is 110 to 200 staff or jobs cut considered modest?
Through you, Madam Mayor. Look, just based on that question, Councillor, I'm going to say no. So until we're able to do that analysis, we won't know the total quantum of FTE. Now, with the discussion at the committee did also raise the points around existing movement that has been made through the Sustainable Financial Futures Plan, the previous executive restructure, and other structural alignments that are currently in the pipeline. So all of those inclusions would need to be evaluated as part of the total FTE reduction that
through you, Madam Mayor. The only other comment I'd like to make is that we need to consider how our council differs to the others in OLG Group 5. So not all councils would have a Shoalhaven Entertainment Centre. Not all councils would have the number of transfer stations that we operate in terms of our waste management services. So whilst there's information out there through the financial data returns and on the OLG website that looks at the number of buildings we maintain or the number of pools or number of libraries we operate, there's a lot of other information out there that means we don't know how comparable we are to those other councils and what differences we need to be considering when we're looking at the average spend per capita. So that does absolutely need to come into the equation.
Right, if there's no further discussion, I will add into this. This is only asking us to look at it as a target. It's not saying that we have to actually hit that target. This is just a way forward so we can have a benchmark of what we're looking at. In relation to the OLG and the comments that have been made by the OLG, all of the information is provided to the OLG every year, and you can go on there and read that yourself. On the 19th of June, we will be making a decision on our rates, we'll be making a decision on our water rates, we'll be making a decision on how we move forward. We use the benchmarking. I can't tell you how many meetings I've sat in and briefings I've sat in when we've been benchmarked up against our five councils. That is why they benchmark them as similar councils to what we are. Yes, there is going to be some research, and I'm quite sure that the staff can undertake that research and report back to the Finance Committee. This is not a hard, fast rule that they have to do. It's only saying this is what we suggest as your target. As Councillor Wilkins has said, it is sitting at around 30%, 32%. And it's not 10% of the jobs. It is not. If you're looking at it that, you're calculating it completely wrong. And I suggest that you have a discussion with the Finance Committee and the staff in relation to that. So I'll be voting against this amendment. Councillor Proudfoot, write a reply.
Yes, just briefly, Madam Chair. Just briefly, the point 2 is an aspirational goal.
That's right.
And it's quite some time, by the end of 2026, 2027. So it's exactly as you explained it. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's just let's aspire to that and continue to work with our Finance Committee and our Finance Department to continue to bring Council's finances back to where they should be. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So with that, I'll put the amendment. So we're only voting on the amendment this time. Councillor Cox, Councillor Wilkins, Councillor Proudfoot and Mayor White. So the amendment is lost, so we'll go back to the recommendation. Is there any further speakers for the recommendation? Write a reply on the recommendation? No. So I'll put the recommendation. So this is FR 2528. If you're for or against. So that is 8 for, 5 against. Those against. So Councillor Tribe, Norris, Boyd, Johnston and Christolitis are against. The balance vote in favour, so carried 8-5.